What is going on, Crimson Tide fans? Chris Daughtery here with the Alabama Football Report by Chat Sports. Want to ask you guys real quick to just go ahead and give me a follow on Twitter or X, whatever you guys are calling it these days. It's at Chris Chat Sports. Put all of our videos here from the Alabama Football Report over on my Twitter page. So if you don't get the push notification here on YouTube, maybe you can also see it over there on my Twitter page. Also putting some short form videos and just other tweets about the Crimson Tide, Braves baseball, a lot of things out there as well. To help me out, give me a follow over on Twitter. I'm going to give a shout out to the first 5 people that give me a follow on the next video here at the Alabama Football Report. To help me out, go ahead and give me a follow over on Twitter. All right, first up on today's show, Kalen DeBoer made some comments where things kind of sit right now with Austin Mack on the Next Round podcast last week. Now, there was a lot of conversation and thought about Austin Mack possibly hitting the transfer portal if he did not end up winning this starting quarterback job out of spring practice, which I'll be completely honest, I always thought that take was really crazy considering Austin Mack moved all the way across the country for Kalen DeBoer when he took that head coaching job from Nick Saban. And look, Austin Mack is a Kalen DeBoer guy. He was quarterback 4 last year behind Lonergan. All of a sudden, he's supposed to just jump up and beat Ty Simpson out for the starting job. That never really made any sense to me. We have this tendency as fans to just generalize players, hitting the portal because of the circumstances that they currently sit in, instead of kind of taking that Ty Simpson approach where, you're willing to sit a couple of years and end up developing. We just always assume that players, if they're not going to be the starter in year 1 or year 2, they're going to end up hitting the transfer portal. And honestly, shame on us as fans for thinking that way. But, it is kind of the way a lot of college football is not right now. But I do think the culture here at Alabama is very, very strong. You look at another guy like Keelon. He's going into year 3 now, and he still may not play very much this year, and he is still sticking around. We are 4 days now away from Alabama not losing a single scholarship player in the transfer portal. Now, they did have a couple walk-ons end up hitting the transfer portal, but at the end of the day, that really does not matter. I will even say this. I do think there is more loyalty right now with Alabama than there was under Nick Saban, because Nick Saban never had a portal cycle where they didn't lose a single guy. And like I said, Alabama's just a couple of days away now from not losing a single player in the transfer portal. But back to Austin Mack here. This is what Kalen DeBoer told the Next Round on just kind of where things sit with Austin Mack. I'm not going to speak for Austin, but I do have a really good relationship with him. Having been with him now, this is going to be year 3, and he knows he's got some elite football ahead of him. He's really getting the most reps he has ever had here this spring. Last year, he was in the mix, but really, you had more of Ty Simpson and Jalen Milroe, and even Lonergan was taking more reps than he was. It's hard enough when you've got 2, much less 4 quarterbacks splitting the way you want. He got 1 week back in his freshman year at Washington, where we shelved Michael Penix a little bit, just making sure that he was physically as strong as we needed him to be there in fall camp. So he got an uptick of reps there, but this was the most reps that he's ever had. He sees the growth, and he does see the development. So get in the comment section here at the pinned comment, actually, of today's video. Alabama really right now is on the verge of having no transfers enter the transfer portal, scholarship players anyways. So if you are excited about that and really the team chemistry right now with the Crimson Tide, make sure you spam those RTRs and show your support for this team in the comment section for me right now. All right, so one thing that I think a lot of us really haven't, taken into account is the age right now with these Alabama quarterbacks. Ty Simpson going into his redshirt junior season, he is already 22 years old. Austin Mack, only 18 years old. Remember a couple of years ago, before he actually got to Washington, he reclassified. So he was 17 years old when, he was going to Washington that very first couple of months that he was there. Keelon Russell is also 17 years old right now. He actually turns 18 in just a couple of days here. But really, I think the difference in the maturity level at 18 years old to 22 years old is just, very immense. Everybody is different. Obviously, you see freshmen out there that are able to start at that quarterback position, and they're really good players as well. But, you're talking about 3 extra years of development as well for Ty Simpson. That is really, really big. And I don't think enough of us were really talking about that age difference when it comes to these Alabama quarterbacks in this quarterback battle. We'll continue on with some more stuff here in just a second, but today's show is presented by Game Time. Game Time makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer you get to first pitch now that the MLB season is in full swing. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest prices guaranteed, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Game Time is the official ticketing partner here at the Alabama Football Report by Chat Sports, and you guys can save up to 60% off by buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and so much more. You guys can check out Alabama baseball, Alabama softball. You can go ahead and get Alabama football tickets already as well. Talladega coming up this week. You guys can go to Talladega and hang out, all week long, and then go to the race on Saturday, Sunday as well. That is a very, very fun time. If you guys have never been to a NASCAR race in person, the people watching is elite. You can also go to that Cardinals versus Braves game coming up here in just a couple of days. Tomorrow, you get that Chipper Jones bobblehead. The first couple thousand people through the stadium get that Chipper Jones bobblehead. I believe it's even a all-star game / home run derby bobblehead there for Chipper Jones. So that's definitely something. I'm not going to end up going to the game, but I might have to buy that one online. You guys can also use the Game Time Picks feature. It just makes getting last-minute ticket buying even easier by quickly highlighting the best deals in the stadium. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and redeem promo code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, create an account and redeem promo code CHATSPORTS. That's CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Links in the comment section and the description of today's video. So download the Game Time app today. They have last-minute tickets at the lowest prices, all guaranteed. Now, the NCAA Rules Oversight Panel approved multiple rule changes on Wednesday, and the biggest one of all of them is the injury timeouts. I think the biggest thing right now, no more fake injuries, I think is going to be a really big key for the NCAA and trying to fix those things. If you guys remember, Greg Sankey last year implemented fines for coaches that go out there and tell players to just go down and fake injuries to get free timeouts. The first offense for that was $50,000. The second offense was $100,000, and then the third offense for that was a suspension for a coach, which I don't think any of that ever actually happened. But I do think Lane Kiffin got that $50,000 fine at least one time anyways. But I do think this is just a good thing for college football as a whole because, at the end of the day, it's just sanctioned cheating. And I do think one thing that they could have possibly done was just have the player, if they come out due to an injury, they can't go back in for the rest of the drive. They didn't end up going that way, which I think you could have done that unless, somebody calls a timeout or something like that. Then they can go back in. But the NCAA did not go that route. This is what the NCAA did here on the injury timeouts. Under the new rule, if a player presents an injury after the ball is spotted by the officiating crew for the next play, that player's team will be charged a timeout. If the team does not have a timeout remaining, a 5-yard delay of game penalty will be assessed. I think you could go about it, like I said, without actually having to do a penalty, but penalties will fix the problem at the end of the day, in my opinion anyways. I want to hear your opinion, though. Will this fix the fake injury issue that we've had here for the last couple of years in college football? Let me know what you guys think. Type Y for yes or N for no in the comment section of today's show. The NCAA also had a couple other rule changes that I just wanted to touch on here at the end of the show as well. They've got new overtime timeout rules. If a game reaches a third overtime, each team will have one timeout beginning with the third overtime until the game has ended. So once you get to that third overtime, you're only going to have one timeout for the entirety of the rest of the game. Replay announcements, they're not going to use the words confirmed or stands anymore. They're just going to say it's upheld or overturned, so no biggie there. There's also some special teams alignment type stuff. No offensive player can be in direct line of the snap to the potential kicker or within the frame of the snapper on punts for the formation to qualify as a scrimmage kick. Just a lot of just weird stuff there about, just the way you can line up there. Fair catches, though, I do think this one is very notable. If a player on a kickoff return makes like that T signal where they just kind of, throw their arms out like that with their arms during a kick, they give up their right to actually make a return. The play will be whistled dead. So that's essentially going to be called a fair catch there. Simulating the or action at the snap. Really, the main thing here, it's kind of always been the rule. The linebackers can't go up there and clap or anything like that. But what they actually did was they gave the defense a couple of terms that only they are allowed to use. The terms move and stem will be reserved for players on the defensive side of the ball and cannot be used by the offense. So, the defense can't make the offense jump off sides, and the offense also can't use other terms that end up, screwing over the defense somehow. I really don't know how that could come into play, but it is an issue there. And then the 12-man loophole that Oregon used last year as well, they put a stop to that as well, saying after the 2-minute timeout in either half, if the defense commits a foul with 12 or more players on the field and all of the players participate in the play, the officials will administer a 5-yard penalty. The offensive team would have the option to reset the game clock back to the time at which the play started. So that is a big thing that, Oregon really did take advantage of last year as well. But there is one other stipulation as well. If the 12th player is attempting to actually leave the field and he's not actually trying to, play during the actual snap, the defensive team will just have a 5-yard too many men on the field penalty there, and no adjustments will be made to the clock. Did you guys make it to the end of the video? If you did, you are a real one. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you drop a like on today's video.